went from bottom to top in 13 years, and I felt like I climbed to the top of the building, looked around, and realized I was standing on top of the wrong one.
Sarah, thank you so much for the interview today. Can you please just introduce a little bit about yourself?
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Sarah Flischel. I'm the Director of Audit Transformation and Training at AAFCPAs, which is a firm located near the Boston area. However, I live in Denver, Colorado, so I'm a remote employee.
Yeah, that's why we have great catch up the other day when I saw your post that you visit Boston. That I literally just moved to the Boston. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
It was definitely a bonus to get to see you. It was also unexpected on my side.
I know, I was like, I really want to find someone to talk. I feel so isolated after the move. So that's amazing. So I met Sarah actually at the first time at AICPA Engage back in summer, is that 2023?
Yep.
Yeah, 2023. So I attend her section to share about her CPA journey. And so I'm very happy to have Sarah on my podcast today to share about her journey with my audience. So start from very beginning, Sarah. Can you share with us why you pick accounting? Who influenced you that you're going to stay within this accounting profession?
Sure. So when I went to college, I knew I wanted to study business, and that was about it. I'm not really sure why I knew I wanted to study business, but that wasn't the question, so I don't have to answer that hard one. And as most of you might know, when you go to business school, you get to a little exposure from a variety of all of the different business, topics. So there's marketing, there's management, there's accounting, there's finance. And so you get to dabble in each of them. And my accounting class was hard. It was definitely a class that was like, oh, I cannot go out the night before for this 8 a.m. class. It's a little too hard to come in hungover, but I actually like the challenge. And so I was up for the challenge, and I decided to change my major to accounting.
For the challenge, why you like to take the challenge? Is that something that your personality or something that because at young age you want to prove yourself?
Probably my personality. I see a challenge and I say, I think I can tackle this. Let's do it. And so I jumped right in and took another accounting class and took another one. And, the debits and credits concept really just clicked in my brain. And I really liked the methodology behind, being an accounting student.
So during your time when you were in college, did you have any difficulty to find an internship?
I didn't. So I actually babysat a lot in high school and in college. And it was my family that I babysat for who introduced me to my first accounting job, which was in college. And so this was at a very tiny, small accounting firm. It was 3 old ladies. They were all 60s and up. And then me part-time. And they did bookkeeping and tax. And I really enjoyed the bookkeeping part of things because all of those concepts I was learning in school, I actually got to apply in real life situations. So I got to see how it worked in the real world and also got better at the concepts because I'm a learner who has to do and see for things to really click. And so that opportunity with this teeny tiny firm actually helped make me, I think, a good auditor, which was my future.
So you stayed there and then you were able to actually use what you learn in college to in the real life, understand the whole concept, and then you got an internship at PwC, one of the big 4 CPA firms.
I did. Unfortunately, I graduated college in 2008 and then did my internship with PwC in spring of 2009, which was, if we all go back in time, not a very fun economic condition. And so they didn't hire any of the interns after we finished our busy season. But I still got that experience. And so I left the small firm once I graduated college and took that internship. And I got to work with much larger organizations. I got to see what auditing was like for the first time. And for as little as I knew as an intern, I actually really liked it. And I liked interacting with the clients. And I liked, the different challenges that audits can bring. I will say though, my audit class in school I don't think was great. So I was not prepared for audit coming out of school, but I was prepared for understanding the bookkeeping and the record keeping and, the debits and credits behind things.
But you had bookkeeping experience, and that experience significantly support the audit experience because you just did the work that you want to audit on the other side. You never tried tax. You just went to bookkeeping, and then you got the internship in audit, and then you feel that you like audit a lot.
I did do a tiny bit of tax. The tax that I did was nonprofit. So when I moved to Denver, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, our firm did audit and tax. Every employee at that firm does both. So I did do 990s.
Oh, okay. 990 is not fun. I prepared some 990s. It's not that fun. I think 1065 and 1120s, they are a lot more fun. That's probably why it turned you away from tax, and then you just want to work in audit only. I work in audit, and I thought I would love audit, but then I was like, no, it was not for me. So I changed to tax, and I'm absolutely in love with tax. When you jump from very small firm like that, and then you also don't have an internship at the big 4 firm, you skip all the way from local, regional, national, you went straight to international. What did you have to adapt at the beginning with that huge jump in the working environment?
I had a lot more colleagues, so that was fun. When I interacted with clients, there were a lot larger accounting teams. When I was doing bookkeeping, it was really small business owners outsourcing their bookkeeping. And so there usually wasn't an accountant or anyone with accounting background on staff. So I went from basically being the accountant to then getting to work with a large department of accountants. So I feel like, we spoke a lot of the same language, which was really nice. But it was so early in my career, I didn't really have a preference. And I think it was really good to see both.
So after you finished your internship at PwC, you got another job at Candinger, Corner and Angle. Can you share how you got this job and what your experience like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I ended my internship in Orlando, where I went to university, and it was the downturn. It was 2009. And so my dream was to move to Denver. One of my neighbors from high school had moved there, and I visited in the summer and loved it. And I tapped into my sorority alumni network to get a job in Denver. And I had 3 connections in Denver. 2 called me back right away, told me how bad the economy was, told me they were laying off employees, we have your resume, it's great, but sorry, we don't have anything. And the 3rd firm, I didn't hear anything from. Fast forward a few months, and that 3rd firm actually called me and said, hey, we'd love to chat with you. We had one of our first year staff leave. We had your resume, so let's chat. So I flew out, interviewed with the firm. It was a small firm. It was 12 people at the time. They specialized only in nonprofit audit and tax. So that's the job I mentioned a few minutes ago. And I moved out to Denver to work with this firm. It was a small firm, as I mentioned, so it felt very family-like. And I was at this firm for 13 years. I went from staff at the bottom all the way to partner at the top. And we grew, but only to 20 people, so it was still pretty small. So I kind of stayed in that same small area as I had with just coming out of college. But I think that was a good fit for me at the time because I was in a totally new state, far away from family, far away from friends. And so it was a great supportive environment to get to know a new city.
So when you start at this job from the staff level, and then you went through all different promotions, how did you feel from each promotion?
I think I was actually pretty spoiled at this firm. We never worked crazy hours. I worked typically 40 to 45 hours a week. Our clients liked us. They were nonprofits. They didn't always have the luxury to have a 10-person accounting team. So they really looked to us as not only their auditor, but also as their advisor. And I really enjoyed getting to know and build those client relationships. I had a kind of slow start. And I think it was just based on who was employed at the time. So we didn't have the senior title. there either. You went from staff to manager. So I was actually staff for like 5 years, but obviously there's a little bit of senior work in there. I think I was acting as staff for like 3 years. And so why I like that is year one, everything's new. You're trying to get your feet under you and understand what you're doing. Things feel a little Greek. Year two, you get to repeat, a lot of the same clients. Like, okay, I'm really starting to grasp this concept of cash or of fixed assets. And I got to see it for a second time. So I can see where I made my mistakes year one and learn from them. And then year three is when I really perfected. I knew enough and was good enough and an expert enough in those areas that I was pretty confident in being able to review them. And so then you move up a little bit, you start doing the harder areas, you start maybe reviewing some easier areas. So I actually think that gave me a really strong base, again, in my expertise and my knowledge, coupled with, my bookkeeping experience, which meant when I'm looking at something the client did, and I'm like, I think this is backwards, because I had seen that as a bookkeeper. I'd made those mistakes myself. I'd had to correct them, reverse them, repost them the right way. And so I almost had come from the client side of things so early in my career that I could really relate to what they were going through.
I like the fact that you didn't have to work many hours, just 40 to 45 hours. It's like a dream schedule in public accounting as an auditor. It's just amazing. And you move from staff to manager, but like slowly you get more and more responsibilities over time. Even you don't have the title like senior or supervisor. So when you jump from staff to manager, it's still a huge responsibilities jump for you, because now even with the small firm at 12 people at that time, you may not have a lot of staff, but now you're taking more in charge of more work. How did you feel at that time when you were manager? Did you feel overwhelmed at the beginning? How did you learn from slowly staff over time to also then you become manager?
Yes, this is something I think everyone goes through. And so I want to speak it out loud because you're not alone. But I felt so good, after I told you year three, I felt like an expert. I was on top of the world. And then I felt like I had the rug pulled out from under me because I was given something totally new. So you go from an expert to being a beginner, and that never feels good. But it is progress, and it is how you grow and develop. So if you're feeling that way, that is very normal.
So it means you are growing because you feel like you are challenged by a lot of circumstance around you. Being a manager is challenging, that you not only dealing with staff, with work, you're dealing with a lot of different directions. For example, clients, for example, partners, for example, staff below you, admin, paperwork. How do you manage all different tasks?
I think you just grow into it. If you're lucky, you'll be in an environment that is supportive. I think as CPAs, we all have a desire to help each other, like an innate desire to actually want to do good and help. And so I think when you have the bad experiences, it's usually just someone having a bad day, not that they're out there to get you. So this was a very small firm, as I mentioned. It felt very family-like. So we made mistakes, we accepted each other, we corrected our mistakes as best we could, and we weren't afraid to point them out and learn from them.
So can you just summarize 3 best things based on your experience from working at this small family firm size?
Sure. My first thing is I had a nice long runway to become that expert really early on. That felt really good. Because it was small, we all wore a lot of different hats, as you kind of alluded to, but it gave me the freedom that if I wanted to dive into quality control, or if I wanted to be the trainer at the annual training every year, or if I wanted to standardize something, I had a lot of opportunity. Someone once told me that their firm that's very large, like a top 20 firm, is like a yacht. And it really takes a lot to turn a yacht and to make a move. But with a small firm, if you think of a sailboat, it's a lot easier to pivot and turn quickly. And so I would say also that having a small firm, we could turn and change quickly.
I like it. I like that picture, how you compare with small boat or like a big ship is a challenge if you want to make any move. Or you want to, even the move could make it better, but because it's so big, it's a lot of work. So I know that you work at this firm for 13 years. That's a long time. And you probably built a lot of great relationships. What happened when you left this firm? How did you feel about that?
Yeah, so I went from bottom to top in 13 years, and I felt like I climbed to the top of the building, looked around, and realized I was standing on top of the wrong one. And there were just things that I wanted to accomplish in my career, and there was a calling that I felt like I was made for more. Fast forward today, I know more about myself and my personality thanks to the a personality test that my current firm does. And when I look back and apply that knowledge I know now, in hindsight, I'm a big picture thinker. And a lot of accountants are very detailed thinkers. And so I look at the horizon, I look, at my retirement year, I look past my retirement year, but I felt like some people could only look forward about 5 years. And so I had a bigger vision. And so I networked again through my sorority alumni. And one of my sorority sisters had moved to Los Angeles for college for her master's and worked for a firm there. And so I just called her to ask, what are other firms like? Because I was scared about the hours. And so she asked me, what's going on? What are you looking for? I had been dreaming. What is it? If I could pick anything to do, what would I want to do? And so I kind of laid it out for her. Here's what I'm looking for. I love process improvement. I actually want some time dedicated to that in my day. I don't want to be 100% client and then try to fit in this process improvement and making change at organizations. And so she introduced me to her boss, and he actually created my dream job, which was 50% doing audits, nonprofit audits like I was used to and good at, and 50% of my time was dedicated to the audit department to do process improvement and change.
You mentioned two key things that I really like. First, it is network, and the second one, it is making changes. So we will come back to making changes later, but for network, this is the second time you mentioned about network to get a job. And we all know that how important it is to build a network. Can you just emphasize some great benefits that you have got from your network?
Yes, and I will point out this is not the last time we're going to talk about my network either, because it is the gift that keeps on giving. So that's the best part about it. I am an extrovert. It is a little bit easier for me to build a network, I think, because I enjoy and get energy from meeting people and building relationships. So if that's not you, I want to say it's not impossible. It just might be a little harder than the experience I'm going to describe. But I've always been a networker. I attended church when I was little. I was in sorority in college. I was in honors groups in high school. I got involved in my community in Denver through giving circles or through, I'm in the Colorado Society of CPAs networking group. And so I'm always building relationships in different facets of my life. I even have like a mom's group because I'm a mom of young kids. And so I view my friends and the groups that I'm in as potential opportunities for the future. And not just for me to take from, but I also give back to those groups as well. And so you don't have to start big, start really small. It could be even you're being involved in your children's school on the PTA or volunteering in the classroom or whatever it is. I would start where you're most comfortable and where your passions lie. So if you like to read books, join a local book club with 4 other people. Again, very small. But also I think putting your intentions out there when you actually need something or are looking for something or even have an idea about something, your network can't help you if you don't voice those out loud. So I think not just building your network, but utilizing your network is really key.
I like how you say that you not just only receive, but you also give back to people that you network with as well. Can you just give an example that you give back to one of the people in your network?
Sure. I have mentored 5 aspiring CPAs over the last 5 years, and some of them have come to me with a desire to change jobs, for example. And so I always make space and time to hear their story, dig into what they're looking for, and then I actually utilize my network to help connect them to jobs.
That's awesome. I noticed that some state societies are trying to build a mentor relationship, woman mentor relationship, that they will go to the CPA firms, look for people who have a lot of experience and mentor younger staff or even students to get an accounting job. It's really cool because I know Mask CPA, I think they are doing woman circle relationship, something like that. I think that's so cool. So I just registered it, I think, a couple of days ago.
I just saw that email today. I was catching up on newsletter emails.
Yes, so I try to get involved with Mask CPA since I moved to Massachusetts. So join the community. That's a great start. So now talking about the next thing you mentioned about is you love making changes. And your job that you got, you just mentioned about, it is 50% focus on your job and 50% focus on making changes. What motivates you that you like to make changes that much?
I think I see the end result. I think I see through the pain of the change, and I see, hey, we could be so much better once we get through this if we were to implement something new. And so I keep that long-term vision in mind when going through change, because I know change is hard for most people.
Well, not most people. I think for everyone. A lot
That's
of people.
true.
Talking about your next job that you split 50-50. So at this job, you do not really spend that whole time working in audit in nonprofit. Does that mean you don't have to work that many hours?
I'd actually asked for a 40-hour cap, and that was honored by that firm from the start.
So 40 hours, 20 hours will be on client work and 20 hours will be on process improvement?
They actually structured it so it was 6 months doing audits and 6 months doing process improvement, which was nice because I think we all know the client work creeps in and spreads and takes over, no matter how hard we try to have boundaries.
Just like how we talk about busy season, work so many hours and then just slowing down during summer and then get back to busy season again. So can you just share some big changes that you made at this company that you're so proud of?
Yeah, so when I started, they were creating a market hub in a couple cities. So really the firm wanted to go from a regional feel to a more national feel. And Denver was actually one of the cities selected to be a hub. And that was because of how many people we had that were employed by the company in Denver. We had the biggest concentration of employees outside of California, which is where they started. So I was the only market hub leader that wasn't a partner with the firm. So that was exciting. And again, we know how much I like community. We know how much I like building a network. And so it was bringing together our team members to collaborate, to have a sense of purpose and where we fit within the firm. And then eventually the long-term goal was to get more clients in Denver, hire more staff in Denver, etc. So I actually got to build that from scratch. I had to build a whole plan on, letting the firm know, again, people who don't live in Denver, what's the Denver market like? If the firm's top priorities are these 5, how does that fit in with Denver industries? And is it easy to tap into, getting clients from this industry base, etc. So I got to do some market research, which was really fun. And then I got to plan fun social events for a team to get together.
I like it because at my current job, we have the role called facilitator. So it means I just reach out to people and talk to people and make sure that they don't feel isolated with the virtual work. Now that's what yes, I like it. It just says social. You don't just get the job done only. So that you mentioned about creating events, social events, that's super, super helpful. When you mentioned about this job, you really like about how you split 6 months and 6 months. But what happened that make you decide to leave this job again?
So what I've learned, and again, now that I know my personality type a little more, but I didn't know it at the time, this makes hindsight a lot easier to look back. I'm a big picture thinker. Doing audits is really draining to my energy. And so finally splitting, instead of weaving in the process improvement, which gives me energy, with the client work that takes my energy, when you actually split them out, into different times of the year, I felt that energy drain significantly versus I felt that energy gain significantly depending on the time of year. And so I got really brave and I started having feelings. I don't think I like audit anymore. Oh my goodness, I've done this like my whole career. I'm really good at it. What does this mean? I'm really scared. I was on partner track. What happens to my future and like my 5-year plan? It was scary. But this time I was like, I'm going to lean in. Maybe these are some feelings I had the last time I moved and didn't really fully understand them. And now I know a little more. So my boss also could tell I was struggling. I think, again, it was more of a lack of passion for me at that point. And so he was going to give me more clients and make them more year round. And so I was really brave and I asked for fewer clients, and the firm just didn't have a place for me to get rid of clients. And so we parted ways and I networked again through my AAFCPA Leadership Academy network this time, which is also a connection Rosie and I have. And if you've met anyone who's done AAFCPA Leadership Academy, they're probably just shouting from the rooftops how great this opportunity was for us. So I will spare you all the excitement and passion I have for that program. It is amazing. If you want to learn more, you can ask Rosie or I later, and we'll be more than happy to share. But anyhow, I dreamed again. I put it out there. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. I put out there that I didn't want clients, that I wanted truly an administrative role to support an audit department or audit team. And there were a couple paths I could have taken. I had a couple different interests. Again, this is new and I'm creating it, right? So I didn't want to limit myself too much. And one of our alumni connected me with Carla McCall, who is the current chairwoman of the AAFCPA. And she's in Massachusetts, as we know, which is another connection Rosie and I have again. And she actually had a job posting for this kind of position. So this time the firm didn't create it for me. It was which is important. It was something they already wanted and were willing to invest in. And so I got an introduction to Carla. We were on the phone later that week. I went through the interview process with a couple other team members, and they actually tweaked the role for me though, just a little bit. The one thing I asked for, I said, if I'm no longer going to have clients, and we know how much I've loved those relationships, I really want to be connected to my colleagues. And I really enjoy training and being a trainer. And so I asked to be involved in training of the audit team still. And so hence they put training at the end of my title. And that is something that I am passionate about, that I also get to continue. And it's a nice way for me to collaborate with and connect with employees, because I'm a remote employee again. I was a remote employee for a Los Angeles firm. Now I'm a remote employee for a Boston firm, but I'm an extrovert and connection's still really important to me. So that was my avenue to make sure I could stay connected with people.
Oh my God. You talk about a lot of keywords that just sparkle in my head. First, AAFCPA Academy. That's amazing. The connection from there is just awesome, because it's just funny that the current job that I have right now is from AAFCPA Academy connection as well. So that's just amazing. And you mentioned about extrovert. Oh, I'm extremely extrovert person, and I was so struggle at the beginning when I work remotely 100%. I was like, I need to talk to a human being. I cannot just talk to this computer all day long, every day, for the whole week. It's just crazy. I don't know how. Can you share with me, how did you adapt to it? Because my journey to be able to adapt to working from home 100% as an being extrovert is ridiculously crazy.
Sure. I actually think my Los Angeles firm did a really great job, and they were my first real remote experience. They just did an excellent job. We had a lot of meetings, though. That is the offsetting piece of this. To feel connected, you have to have meetings. Meetings take time, and we're all busy. So there is a balance, I think, to strike. This firm has fewer meetings, so I think it took a little longer to get connected, but this firm offers 2 opportunities for all employees to come back to headquarters and connect with each other. So this is twice a year. And so for me, meeting my colleagues in person, really, it's a difference maker. It's so nice. It just builds those relationships so much faster. I will say, though, the ability to do meetings like this on Zoom with faces 100% helps me as well. And getting connected locally, right? That's the other piece. Whether it's with other CPAs in your town or it's with your other passions. But having some sort of interaction in your life is important. And so you have to find it somewhere. If you're not getting it through work, you got to get it after work.
Yes, exactly. And I was so excited that I didn't have to worry about traffic. I didn't have to worry about getting up in the morning and get ready. And then after the second week of working from home 100%, I was so panicked. I was so hungry of human interactions. Like, I did talk to my husband, but it's not enough. And so I went to the gym. And I talked to this salesman. And all of a sudden I was so excited. I said, oh my God, someone talked to me. Oh my God, it's so awesome. And that salesman just like, this girl is so weird. Why she's so excited talking to me? That's how much I was craving for human interaction. I think that's one of the issues for working remotely, that you need human interaction in something else if you don't get that from work. Yeah.
You know what's funny, Rosie? My first question when they were hiring me was, do you have any employees in Colorado? Where are they? Can I meet them? And so I did. We have 2 employees in Colorado other than me, and I did get to meet one of them in person. We met. She lives across town, but we met in the middle, and we went on a walk.
That's awesome. You even went for a walk. That's a good connection to connect with the firm. I think we do have some people in Boston. I just need to actually reach out and schedule the time to meet them in person. But that's exciting that even the firm I'm working with in California, but they also have staffs in East Coast. So even when I moved from California to Massachusetts, I don't feel like I'm the only one in this state. So that's something that you feel like is super helpful, that you don't feel like, oh, I'm feel disconnected with the firm you're working with.